YouTube? How's it going? And welcome back to Kitchen Table Meta. I'll tell you, I missed you guys this weekend. I have definitely fallen behind on the spoiler videos. I didn't get a chance to get them done on Friday. Unfortunately, the delay in the release of the spoilers, and I had family visit and I had 2 events to go to this weekend. So all of that, kind of on top of itself really made me fall behind. So I really apologize. That's 100% my fault. However, I will have tons of videos out for you today. So hopefully I can catch up and get you guys these videos out. And again, I apologize. It's 100% my fault. Anyway, let's move into these cards. We're going to talk about the red leaders, which I am super excited about. Like I said, this set of cards has one of my favorite leaders in it. I cannot wait to talk about it. And so we're going to talk about him first and get right into it. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. So anyway, we're going to jump into Vegeto. And so Vegeto is a red leader with 10,000 power that has 2 extremely powerful effects. He has a permanent effect that says each Son Goku and Vegeta in all of your areas gain red, blue, and green colors. And then he has an auto that says when this card attacks, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. If that card is red, this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. He also awakens at 4 and draws you 2 when he awakens like every other leader. Now, this leader is just so cool. I cannot explain how excited I am. I remember we got a little sneak peek of this leader at the Gen Con event. After the event, they showed us this leader, and everybody went nuts. People were screaming, people were clapping. I mean, it was just so cool to not only see them spoil a card at an event, but also just see it be a very powerful leader like this. And ever since that event, I have been brainstorming. My team has been brainstorming. We've just been talking about it all the time, and just really just talking about how powerful this is and how we can do a couple things to make him even more powerful. And like I said, I'm sorry if I talk so much about this leader. I'm just so excited about him. I also want to let you guys know that this is probably going to be the first deck profile I do in set 2 is going to be off this leader. Like I said, I already have like 3 or 4 different builds ready to test, and so this probably just will make sense for me to do this leader first. Anyway, I'm going to jump into it. I'm sorry, guys. So his first ability says each Son Goku and Vegeta in all your areas gain red, blue, and green. This is extremely powerful ability and really allows you to kind of smoothly run tricolor decks. And the reason why is because if you play a Goku or Vegeta in your energy area, it counts as both blue, green, and red energy. Now this is extremely powerful, and a lot of the times when people see this leader, that's the first thing they think of. They kind of grasp that concept very easily, and then they kind of forget everything else, I think, that makes this leader so extremely powerful. Something else to remember is that all the cards in your hand also get all 3 colors. All cards in your drop area and deck get these, and then also all cards in your combo area will get these too. And so if there's ever a card or something that says when you combo with a red card or a blue card, do this, whatever, then this will affect all those cards because they are those things as well. Now something else to remember, and the example I'll always give whenever I'm trying to explain how powerful this ability is if you use the 1-drop Goku, Kansei and Son Goku, you play him out on turn 1. Now, he will allow you to look at his ability is look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose a blue Goku, reveal it, put it in your hand. Now, you can use this ability on any Goku in your deck. So you can use it to get a green one. You can go get like a green, like Awakening Son Goku, the big 6-drop. You can go get the promo Goku, which is red, but again, he counts as blue now. And that's super powerful. That's a very strong turn 1 play. And honestly, it's going to, in my opinion, that alone just makes this card, this leader essentially just bonkers to me. I just love him. It makes me always want to think and go over different things. Now, if you do get the promo Goku, he says when you play him in the battle area, all of your red battle cards get plus 5,000 energy. I'm sorry, plus 5,000 power for the turn. This is again really powerful because all of your Gokus and all your Vegetas are also red in addition to their current state. So that means again it's essentially a 5,000 power boost to your entire battle area as long as they're Vegetas and Gokus. Again, I can keep going on about more and more awesome synergies, and I honestly probably will before this analysis of him is done. But it's just really important to remember that this card affects a lot more than just your energy row. There's so many ways that you can take advantage of this card, and once you kind of figure that out, again, it's just amazing to see all the stuff this leader can do. Anyway, so moving on to his auto ability. It says when this card attacks, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. If that card is red, this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. First up, the first thing I'll say before I go into this ability at all, it does say place up to 1 card, and since it does say that, you can choose 0, so you do not have to use this ability. I've seen a lot of people talk about how using this ability every turn, might mill you out, or might make you take a really important card that you needed and put it into the discard pile. That's still true, but it's important to remember if you're really banking on getting an important card or something, you don't have to use this ability. And often, once you get, probably a certain amount of Gokus and Vegetos in your drop area, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to use this ability unless you're just trying to put a lot of pressure on your leader, which I'll get into in just a second. So just remember, you don't have to use this ability. If there's some random situation that comes up that you don't want to, just remember you don't have to. Okay, so the first thing to remember is with Vegeto, I always talk about this. I've seen a lot of people, at different events, especially this weekend. I've had a lot of people come up to me and talk to me about Vegeto, and they always tell me, like, it really stinks he doesn't have a way to awaken. And that's very true. I talk about it all the time in my videos about how if a leader doesn't have a way to awaken, he's automatically at a disadvantage to a lot of the other leaders who do. Now, what Vegeto does, he has a unique perspective, and that is with this ability, he can essentially pressure awaken leaders. And this is really important because one of the big downsides to not being able to awaken yourself, other than just like, the consistent card advantage that it gives you by doing it, is that, you essentially cannot pressure the opponent's leader with your leader. And what that means is you often have to pressure them with battle cards, and then once you pressure them with battle cards, they can attack your battle cards and stop you from awakening and draw cards. And all this adds up to, essentially you being stalled out, and, really makes it hard to get back into the game. Now with this ability, Vegeto has the ability to pressure awaken leaders, which really makes it hard for opponents to stall you out because they have to deal with your leader every turn, or keep taking an additional life. And so what happens a lot, like with the Frieza deck, which I talked about, is if you can put a lot of pressure on your opponent and awaken them quickly, and then pressure them every turn with your leader or battle cards they can attack back on the next turn, then they almost have to awaken you. They almost have to put pressure on you, because if they don't, then you're just eventually going to inevitably just win the game. And so again, this ability is super powerful, and to have 15,000 power on your awaken side is something not to laugh at, and honestly makes him a very viable and kind of gives him a pseudo awaken condition. Now, the downside of this ability is something that I'll talk about, is that because Vegeto can use all 3 colors, he's going to use blue. Blue works awesome with this deck. So cards like Sensu Bean, the blue counter, maybe Objection if you want to run Objection version of the deck, Results of Training to make him awaken, Zeno Button. Zeno Button is an amazing card in this deck because Zeno Button says counter attack, ready all your blue energy. Because he is Vegeto, it actually can ready all of his energy, because all of his energy is blue if if there are Gokus and Vegetas. And so these are all powerful extra cards that you'll run in this deck. And the downside to Vegeto is that if you use this ability and hit one of those extra cards, not only do you lose that powerful extra card that you might want to use later, but he doesn't get his 5,000 power. So again, there is a little bit of a gamble with with using this ability in the deck, but honestly, if you kind of take your time, build a deck around this ability, I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with the power that this effect provides. Okay, so I'm sorry again for such a long-winded response to his front side, but I'm just so excited for this leader. I think he's gonna be so cool. Okay, so let's awaken him. So now once he's awakened, he gets the same permanent ability, very powerful, very strong. However, he does get a little bit of an updated auto, which says, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. If there are 10 or more Vegetas or Son Goku in your drop area, this card gains plus 5,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. Now, this is extremely powerful, guys. There's very few leaders that have double strike on their awaken side, and even fewer that give you 5,000 power in addition to it. Ginyu comes to mind as a very as a leader that does something similar, and honestly, his awaken side wins games. I've won tons of games with Ginyu's awaken side where I've just swung in with double strike and they can't deal with that plus my board, and so I win. Again, this is something that's going to be extremely powerful. 20,000 power with double strike is going to close out games. Not to mention that the way the deck is designed, you're going to have powerful battle cards as well, because Goku and Vegetas have tons of strong upper limits, or I guess upper or higher cost finishers. So this is just going to put tons of pressure on your opponent. And again, the only downside is you need 10 Vegetas or Goku in your drop area to take advantage of this effect, which is a real cost, guys. It might seem like it's going to be really hard to get 10 in your drop area, but honestly, between comboing and his front side ability, I think it's not going to be as hard as people think to get that into your battle area. Also, just a little side note about this ability, if a lot of times what you'll do is you'll play out your upper threats, and then you'll attack with them, your opponent will survive, and then they'll kill your threat on the next turn. And a lot of times that's a big downside because you lose board presence. But with Vegeto, you can really put them in a weird situation where if you have like 9 in your drop area, you can play out like a powerful Goku or a powerful Vegeta, attack with it, and then they really have a decision on their next turn. It's like, do I want to kill this Goku? And if I do, then he's going to get plus 5,000 power and double strike on his next turn, or do I let it live? And so I try to kind of hard lock him and in from getting that ability. And so honestly, this ability is it's kind of hard to play around. And it's going to put your opponent in kind of bad situations too. So again, very strong awakened side, guys. A very powerful front side. Again, I'm sorry I spent so much time talking about Vegeto, but I know he's a fan favorite. I'm excited about it. I know my team's excited about him, and I just can't wait, to talk even more about him on my first deck profile coming in set 2. So anyway, I'll give Vegeto 3 stars. Think he's an amazing leader, and think it's something that you guys should have on your radar, and either have kind of an idea of how you want to build him, or have an idea of how you want to play against him, because you will be seeing this leader in the meta, in my opinion. Okay, so moving on to Son Goku, which I was really hoping. I was like, you know what? I think we need like the 6th Son Goku leader. But okay, so I like Goku. He's like one of my favorite, people in the Dragon Ball universe. I think that it's almost hard not to like Dragon Ball and not to at least kind of like Goku, right? I mean, he's just such a pivotal part of the universe. I just really wish that they would have chose somebody different for Red. I mean, we were really hoping for like a Majin Vegeta leader or something a little bit different. And, again, I'm starting to kind of go in and just kind of talk about, not about this card in general, just kind of that thing that kind of makes me sad because, again, I like Goku, but I think we are seeing just maybe a little bit too many leader Gokus. And I like to maybe let somebody else shine for once. Anyway, so we're getting to the card. 10,000 front side with the active battle ability that says once per turn, place 1 card from your hand in the drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the battle. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. Again, very unique ability. Now, this battle ability, which I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about, it says place 1 card from your hand in the drop area. This card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the battle. Now, this is important because this ability is an active battle ability and not an active main ability, and so you do use it during battle. So that's after you see if your leader has been countered or if they've used use something else to stop you from attacking. Again, you don't have to use this and then attack and then waste that card. That's very important. Also, it does say once per turn, but you can use it once on your turn as an offensive boost. You can also use it once on your opponent's turn as a defensive boost, and so that's very powerful. Again, a very, very powerful ability. But the problem I have with this card is since he has no way to awaken, and since he has no way to awaken, or really no way to refill his hand innately on his card, you're really gonna have to build your deck around this ability because it's just card disadvantage, and eventually you're just gonna run out of cards to be able to play, and you're gonna need something to kind of refill your hand since he can't awaken. Now, one thing to remember is there are a lot of red battle cards in this set that take advantage of having a low amount of cards in your hand, and so that is important, and that's something to keep in mind. And I feel like that's the design of this card. This card was, in my opinion, designed to take advantage of those skills on those battle cards, and in that way he does do that. Okay, so let's get into his awaken side. If you do manage to awaken him, he gets essentially the same ability, but it's a little change, and it says place 1 card from your hand in the drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Now, this is very important because it lasts the entire turn and not just for battle, and so it doesn't really change that much for the battle. For your turn offensively, unless there's a card printed eventually that maybe in set 3 or something that lets you ready your leader. But currently, there's no way that this isn't going to change anymore. It doesn't get more powerful offensively; it stays the same. Now, where it does get more powerful, and it's actually pretty absurd, is on your opponent's turn defensively. This essentially gives Goku a Sensu Bean every single turn on your opponent's turn, which is extremely powerful. Being able to go up to 20,000 power on your opponent's turn can really, really be strong. And honestly, if you've ever attacked into a leader and seen them play out Sensu Bean and that just completely destroys your turn, right? You're like, man, these 3 people can't attack, or I have to combo now to try to do a lot of damage. It doesn't take much to realize how important and how strong this card is going to be, once you use this ability on your opponent's turn. Now, again, I think this card is very powerful. I think its effect is super powerful. I just really think that the fact he has no way to awaken himself on the front side, and then the fact that he's essentially losing cards every turn to take advantage of this ability, I think it's going to make him not as playable as what I think some of the other red leaders are, and for that reason, I'm going to give him 2 stars. But I do think that with the combination of his Awakened side, and the powerful cards we've seen currently in the game that let you refill your hand once you have low cards, or just get really cool effects once you have low cards, that this card will see play and honestly probably be an okay leader. Okay, so last up, guys, is Bibbidi. And so Bibbidi is a very unique leader. He has 10,000 power. It says, when you place this card in your leader area, choose one Majin Buu sealed ball from your deck and place it in the battle area in active mode. It also says when your life is at 6 or less, you can awaken and draw 2 cards. He's one of the few leaders that awaken at 6. Once we get to his awakened side, we'll see why that's probably not as a big of a deal as some of the other leaders. But first, let's jump into his auto ability. It says, when you place this card in the leader area, choose one Majin Buu sealed ball from your deck, place it in the battle area in active mode. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about saying things like, when do you put this in? Essentially, guys, what this is saying, it's just a weird kind of, in my opinion, again, this hasn't been officially ruled on, so it could always change. But in my opinion, it's just a clunky way to say you just start the game with a Majin Buu sealed ball in play. I mean, there's no, you don't draw your cards first, you don't mulligan first, you don't do your life first, and then put it in. In my opinion, you can literally just put one Majin Buu sealed ball in your deck at the start of turn, just go get it. And that's essentially what this does. It lets you start the game with this into play. Now, again, one more time, it might change. The FAQ could come out, the new updated rules can come out, and it could be completely different. I don't know, but I do know, in my opinion, is that it just starts in play. It's just a clunky way to say that. Now, I would also, real quick, pop up Majin Buu sealed ball. Talk about it real quick. Majin Buu sealed ball is a 10 cost, 1 red field card that says once per turn, when the number of cards under this card reaches 5 or higher, place this card in the drop area, then choose up to one Majin Buu Revived from your deck and play it, then shuffle your deck. Now, what Majin Buu Revived does is he's just a 10 cost battle card. I think he has 20,000 power, something like that. I'll pop his card up. When he comes into play, you just deal a damage. And so essentially what this does, lets you start with the ball in play, and then lets you, essentially he gives you different ways to feed that ball once it's in play, and then essentially, do 1 damage. I think this ability is pretty lackluster, guys. I don't think it's very good. I don't say that very often. Honestly, I always try to think of really good ways that this ability can be effective. But honestly, once we get into his Awakened side, you'll see that, the ball costs 10 energy, which is absurd to me. It's way too expensive. And so, honestly, you're only ever going to have one of these outs. And then once you do get one out, the payoff is that you get a dude that deals the damage when he comes into play, and it's kind of lackluster. Again, the upside is if you can find a way to get this in super quickly, you can get Buu out, extremely fast. However, the downside is, he can die to almost anything. He can still die to, Beerus's, a lot of the yellow removal. He can die to a lot of things. And, again, honestly, I think it's just very clunky, guys. I'm sorry. But anyway, let's get to his Awakened side. I'll talk about it real quick. It says, active main once per turn. Choose one of your battle cards. It gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. And then his auto says, once per turn, when your battle cards attack, draw 1 card and place up to 1 card from the top of your deck under your Majin Buu sealed ball. Again, guys, this is just the first effect, active main effect, says once per turn, the buff. Very powerful. To me, this makes him just a very supporty leader. He gets to, essentially play out powerful effects and then make one of them stronger each turn. Very powerful effect, guys. Super cool. And it's actually neat that he's more like a support leader than he is like a powerful leader, like Vegeto or somebody else. But the thing to remember about this is, he does have 10,000 power on his backside. So, he's not going to be able to pressure the leader on himself. And so essentially he's just giving that 5,000 power that all the other leaders usually get and just giving it to another battle card, which I don't think is a good trade-off. I don't think it's powerful enough. The reason why is because, he's just hard to protect. He's going to be defensively very bad and easy to deal damage to. And I think that kind of stinks, right? It's it kind of makes him, in my opinion, very lackluster, unless he had some very powerful way to make up for it. But honestly, just giving one of your guys 5,000 power, while very strong, I don't think is strong enough to make up for the fact that he loses 5,000 power. Now, his auto, essentially, whenever one of your battle cards attack, you just draw a card. So he gets his draw a card ability. And then you place 1 card from the top of your deck under Majin Buu sealed ball. Again, just a way to feed that ball ability, and very strong. But honestly, this can be a very big downside. If you have an awkward hand or something and you can't attack with one of your battle cards, like for example, Raccoon's Eraser Gun comes into mind. If you accidentally maybe attack with your battle card, your leader card first, they use Raccoon's and you can't attack with your battle cards, you essentially just lose a card every turn. And like I said, it's just very, very bad downside to me. Also, something else to remember with this card is that since you have to attack with a battle card every turn, you're essentially opening a target up for your opponent to have something to attack and draw a card themselves. And so again, I think he just has like kind of too many downsides on his backside. The fact he has 10,000 power, doesn't have that many powerful abilities on his backside, just honestly makes him, in my opinion, almost unplayable. Maybe I'm missing something, and if I am, let me know in the comment section below. It's very possible that I'm just overlooking something that makes this card very powerful. But in my opinion, I just don't think he'll see competitive play. But I think he will be a fun leader to play with, and I think he has a cool concept that he's more of like a support leader, something that kind of empowers his battle cards to take over the game instead of doing it himself, which I think is a really cool concept. But unfortunately, I'm going to give this guy a 1-star rating. I'm sorry, guys. I know there are a lot of fans of this card, but I just don't think he's quite good enough. All right, guys, so that's it for the leaders. Thank you so much for watching. And I want to say again, guys, I am so sorry for essentially these videos being so late. I just had a very busy weekend, and I honestly just got overwhelmed. So I'm really apologize. I promise I'll do better in the future. If you guys have any questions, any comments, anything that I did wrong with these leaders, let me know. Put them in the comment section below. If you have any questions about these leaders, always let me know. I love answering questions. I love hearing from you guys. And again, I'll see you guys tomorrow for my Top 5 Tuesday video. And again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. See ya tomorrow.